So in this light hour, as you guys may know, these are light hours that we're doing twice a week from on Tuesdays, we're doing them at 5 p.m. U.S. Pacific, and on Thursdays at this time, 10 o'clock, um, 10 a.m. U.S. Pacific. And the goal of these is to just, have a casual conversation about photography, about um, of course, NFTs in the crypto space, and just generally sharing the excitement about the space, and having some deep, hopefully deep, insightful conversations about the work that the light artists are putting out into light.art. So today, I think we're going to be joined by MOAL, who's a light artist. Hopefully, he'll be joining in a couple of minutes here. But until he joins, love to just shoot the breeze with you guys. If you guys want to just have a casual conversation, raise your hand and we'll add you to the stage, and we can all just chit chat and have a nice light hour conversation. Omar, I know you want to get on stage. I'm going to invite you to speak, and Albert.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
What's up, Frederick? I wasn't gonna join because it's so late here, but I mean, I see Omar and Albert here, so I gotta say hello. What's up, guys?
That's what it takes. That's what it takes to pull you out of your cave, Omar and
Mm,
Albert.
Yeah, I think Albert just had a
Uh,
drop too. Both of them. Omar had a drop and Albert had a drop.
oh yeah. All right, Albert, what's your drop again? Tell us about that drop.
Hey, Albert.
Hey guys, what's up? Oh, but the stage,
Yo.
I thought I tune in. Cool.
Yeah, welcome. So how's the drop going?
Which drop? You mean my Solana NFT?
Yeah, which
Yeah,
how many drops are you
tell us
doing?
about it.
Cool. Yeah. Actually, it's not doing that well, but it's we launched it and we decided to just release it. And even though I don't know, I think on the Solana community there's not a crazy amount of interest in photography, but we figured we just launch it, see what happens, and so far the people who are making it, they really love it, which is the most important thing. We decided to just you know do something different. It's a super cheap entry price, and it's a generative photography NFT, which has amazing results. They're all based off hundreds of my photos. You can check the website if you're interested in that. But basically, yeah, we just decided to launch it for a very cheap mint price, and basically do not much marketing. We're not paying any influencers, all that kind of stuff. We're just launching it and seeing what happens. And so far, couple of hundred are minted, not a crazy amount, but I'm enjoying it, and we have a small team. I'm just enjoying it. So yeah, it's doing okay for what it is.
It's good. I mean, it's learning too, right? If nothing else, it's the process of going through it and accumulating experience of having, walked through and seeing what works and what doesn't work, right?
Exactly.
But
It's a learning experience, and I just love it. I'm minting them myself, and I just love the results that come out because for me it's also a surprise, kind of what you get. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
That's cool. That's
I mean,
cool. Well, congratulations.
Albert is so humble about this. I mean, the project is amazing. I don't know if you guys looked at it, but it's like it's so innovative and it looks so good. And I haven't bought it because I have no soul. Like I have never done anything in Solana, but actually I'm gonna go and get some just so I can get this project.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool, man.
Much.
Yeah, and Mole's in here too. Mole, you're in the middle of what looks to be kind of an amazing project there. You're a long time project. Are you how's that going for you?
Hey, Frederick, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Yeah, it's
meet you
going
too.
good. It's a 24-hour mint, so there's 1 hour left. And I've never really done like a big collection and the whole pre-mint thing. So it's been like a big learning experience, but very enjoyable, very good. It's been positive so far. So yeah, happy with it.
Yeah, while we have you on the hot seat here, and thanks for joining. I know you're hot off of another space. So thanks for coming in here, especially during, all the insanity that goes along with this. But I'm really curious about this long time project because I'm on your page now, and sort of looking at the description of what it is you put together, and it's kind of amazing. Can you just describe it, for the folks that may not have seen what you're doing, describe why you put it together the way you did and what it is?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the space for 7 months, and all I minted previously was photography. And I would consider myself a musician, really. Like, I've only been taking photos for just under 2 years. So I wanted to make something that had music as the core element, but had a strong visual element as well. So I created 100 portrait images using light painting technique, which, if you don't know, is basically just when you let the shutter speed stay open a bit longer, and during that time you're shooting in pitch black, and you carve the light in like however you want from there. And then separate to that, I wrote a song that's just under 43 minutes, and each one of the images, which is then animated, has 1/100th of that song. So think of it as a giant puzzle, basically, where it makes the whole piece. And then once you actually buy it, it will reveal in just less than an hour. You then get access to the unlockables. One of them is the full song, so you can hear the whole piece, how your part fits into it, and things like that.
That's really cool. So long exposures, and I'm reading on the site here, you created, or you did the animation bit of it in Premiere. Did you teach yourself Premiere for this project, or did you already have experience with video editing?
You're on mute. I think you
Hey,
have to
Mo,
unmute yourself.
Mo, can't hear you.
I think he has connection issues. But I just wanted to say, I was just checking out his project, and wow, the results look absolutely incredible. That is some amazing work right there.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, and that is, I think, part of what this is all about, right? This kind of thing, selling one of 100, adding animation to it, selling it in a series with a smart contract. The whole thing, what this whole type of art or set of art wasn't possible a year ago, or maybe maybe 2 or 3 years ago, right? Was not possible to do a collection like this and mend or sort of merge the worlds of like MOAL's music with the artistic side of it. What a great way to sort of express yourself beyond just one dimension. Mole, are you back in here now?
I'm back. Yeah, sorry, it rugged for a minute.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Yeah, yeah. No, so we're just saying, so this is what I was asking before you dropped off was, did you teach yourself Adobe Premiere specifically for this project, or were you already proficient in video editing?
No, 100% just for this project. So how I basically do anything, and I think it's staggered over the years with music, like, okay, how do I use Ableton? So I'll sit and watch all the amazing free YouTube tutorials. I'll eventually learn that. How do I compose with brass? Okay, I learned how to do that. So this was just an extension of that. It's like, how do I animate an image? And Premiere Pro seems to be the easiest one because I've used Photoshop for the past 6 months. So there's some linearage in terms of user interface. And then, yeah, just again, learning the basics.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. And anyone else in here, if you have a question or you want to jump into the conversation, just feel free, and we'll add you as a speaker. Mo, I'm curious about just your this is unique, right? So you said you've only been in space for a short time, and it sounds like you're doing this what they call just-in-time learning, where I don't really need to be a Photoshop expert or a Premiere expert right now, but I'm going to learn it to do this technique and then move on with your day, which I think is fantastic. So what the impetus of this thing, of this project, a long time, was it in your head for a long time, and you're like, you know what, I got to do this thing, I feel like I want to do these colorful long exposures and add some animation, and now I can do it because this NFT stuff is here? Or I don't know, what was the genesis of it?
I like that description, the just-in-time thing. Yeah, that kind of sums up how I do everything in life, really.
Me
In
too.
terms, yeah, in terms of this, I'd seen someone on YouTube do it, but quite badly. So then I just had a quick practice with like a little statuette thing I had, and it looked so much better. So I was like, okay, I want to explore this because I have a huge love for like space and galaxies and psychedelics. And I read Graham Hancock's book, Supernatural, and listened to a lot of his podcasts. So I've always been obsessed with this kind of imagery. And, you know, like you see the Northern Light pictures and things like that. But to then combine it with portraiture, which like I love the human face in any context. As soon as I did the first practice, I was like, this is me. Like, this is a real resemblance of my sort of personality. So that was like, okay, I'm doing this. And then the other side was, I want to show people what I can do musically. So maybe like my ego talking a little bit, but I was like, well, I'm going to make a properly long song, like enough so people understand the breadth of my influences and things like that. And then I also wanted to make each piece, I also wanted it to have enough of a part of the music, not just like a 2-second clip where you're like, okay, what's the point of that? So it's roughly about 26 seconds for each clip. And there's enough music in there for you to be intrigued as to how the whole thing comes together, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And is the goal, you know, what's your goal as a, you know, the artist that's selling this collection? Is it you want, you know, multiple people to have multiple versions of this, or to have multiple of these 1/100th sections of the piece and expose them to 1/100th of the song? Or is your goal to have someone own the whole thing and be able to listen to the entire song?
That's what I would say is it's kind of none of my business, in the sense that this is a decentralized world and I just want to see how it plays out naturally. Like, I've got no intentions and no wants in that desire, and almost just respect to the space of how it works. In terms of the pre-sale, you can only pre-mint one at the cheaper price, so that limits it to one per person. But once it goes on public in an hour or so, I really don't mind. Like, it's just up to the market, I guess. But my ultimate aim with this is, obviously you've got Web 2, you've got Web 3. I want that sort of Web 2.5. Like, I want this in gallery spaces. I want to create my own like installations, like mini ones and things. And because I live in London, that's pretty possible. So that's my next focus after this.
Very cool. So that was going to be my next question, was what after this. Do you feel like, you know, obviously you led this with, you're a musician, right? You feel like you're a musician. Are you equal parts musician and photographer, or does one have more weight than the other?
No, it's about 90-10 to the musician. Like, because I started photography June 2020, so it's my 2-year anniversary now. And I did it hard for like 6 months during lockdown. And then I left it for 8 months because I was focused on finishing my album. And then I came back to it after that. But I just don't feel, I haven't done enough work. I feel it's disrespectful to the art to even call myself a quote unquote photographer. But I also know that that really doesn't matter. Like, it just depends on what work you produce. So I don't know anything about photography. I don't know any famous photographers. Like, it's like a musician who doesn't know the Beatles. Like, that's me. I don't know anything about the whole world. My whole influence in terms of imagery is just from the musicians I love. Like, I love Bjork, and she works with great visual artists. I don't know who they are, but that has inspired me. Like Sigur Rós, their live shows have really nice visuals in their videos. So that's always been like in the back burner of my mind. And once I figured out like how to press the buttons and use an exposure triangle, it was pretty easy after that. Like, I didn't really feel there was much more to it, but I know there is. Like, it's just I haven't been exposed to a lot of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, Albert, you have your hand up. Yeah, go ahead and jump in, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, Mol, that you know, I said it when you had when you were disconnected, but you know, I quickly checked out the project and it looks absolutely incredible. The results of that is very cool. You know, the portraits with the long exposure, are incredible, really nice. And I love how you combine all these creative elements, music, long exposure, art together into an NFT project. I really like how NFT in general really enhances creativity for a lot of people like you. You're like, oh, what can I do as an NFT? You know, that is incredible. And I just wanted to say also because, yeah, like 12, 13 years ago, I used to, I used to produce music as well. I used to use Ableton. I have some vinyls out. I used to create like dance music, that kind of stuff. Used to play in clubs, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I switched from music to photography as well, which is very interesting, kind of a little bit similar to you, I guess. And now I'm doing only photography and no music anymore. But I wish I wish that they had more time so I could go back to music a little bit. And, seeing you do combining this gives me immediately motivation, like, okay, music, photography, combine, maybe I can do something like that in the future. So yeah, really amazing work. Just wanted to say that. And, even after 2 years of photography, you're already making this kind of stuff. Well, you're really good.
Yeah, now everyone feels bad, right? Yeah, I'm wondering, Mol, is the part of, I know obviously this is experimental, right? By the whole the nature of all this is experimental. But I'm curious, do you feel like as a musician, this kind of work, and if it's successful and popular and draws attention to you, will it introduce your work, your from the music side of you, to a whole different audience? Is that part of the goal, or is it more of you just want to find a new way to express yourself, and this is a creative way for expression?
Firstly, Albert, thank you so much for your kind words. Like, looking at your work, it's amazing. Like, your banner I've got it on my big monitor. It's just amazing, man. So thank you so much. And get back into the music, man. In answer to your question, Frederick, definitely the latter. And that's probably like something I need to work on. Like, I love just making stuff. I don't really think about the full purpose. Like, I think about the next step forward. Okay, what do I need to do next? I need to work on finishing the snare sound. Okay, what do I have to do after that? So I really need to think about, I guess, the business end after, is how am I gonna, what's the ultimate goal with this? Yes, definitely, I think it's going to open people up to the music side of me. But in terms of when I'm creating, like, it doesn't cross my mind whatsoever. It sounds like egotistical, but I'm only really interested in if I like it or not. And then after that, I hope the world likes it. But if somebody tells me they love it, or if somebody tells me they absolutely hate it, it's strange. Like, it makes no difference to me whatsoever. Like, I have my own standards and I work to them. And if I'm happy with it, like, that's it. Like, I just love making stuff, and this is just an extension of that, I guess.
Yeah, I'm curious for both you and Albert as musicians, the process. It's good to have, two musicians. Hopefully there's more in here listening. But at least two musicians in here. I'm curious about the process of creating. This is kind of a two-part question. I'll ask the first part first. Is what is either one of you, Albert or Mole, what is your process for creating music, original music? Is it, you sit down and you sketch it out and write lyrics and then create the beat, or do you get inspiration from listening to, or seeing other things, and then you just feel compelled to create a certain kind of song? Like, how does that manifest in the real for us non-musicians? I'm always curious about where music comes from artists. I don't know, Albert, maybe you can take it first.
Yeah. So, what was your question? Because my girlfriend just came in, so I
Oh, no
was
worries.
talking to
Yeah,
her.
just where's your inspiration for music, for when you're creating music, or when you were creating music? Where did the inspiration come from, and what was your process for getting it into a form where it's ready for people to listen to?
Ah, I see, I see. Well, like creative inspiration for me, it comes from a lot of things regarding music, but also photography. Basically, it's very, very funny to say, but often when I take a shower in the morning, I think of, I have many ideas and like, oh, I have to make this, I have to make this, and I get to my computer and quickly make it. But yeah, walking in the forest, watching movies, watching series, especially like I really like to watch this little bit scary series like Stranger Things. I used to create kind of dark music as well. I really get inspired by that kind of stuff. These composers that make that kind of music, it really inspires me me a lot. But also just browsing around actually my music, my taste of music is super diverse. I like a lot of different kind of dance music, but I also really like ambient sounds. And I can get completely lost in creating this very detailed recordings of sounds around me in nature, like rain hitting certain things, like leaves or certain materials. This kind of stuff I can, and then I make sounds of it, and I kind of, I inspire kind of myself, I guess, with doing, like, getting crazy over this detail. Same as with photography, So yeah, inspiration comes basically from everywhere. So lots of things.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Mo, what about you? How do you get the idea?
I want to say one more thing because
Yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
Albert.
my movement just came in. Unfortunately, I really got to run now. I still have to have dinner and I have a date with her. So
Oh yeah, important.
yeah, so
No,
thank you guys for here, and I will definitely join again very soon. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time today. So
no, it's all good. It's all good. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you.
yeah, awesome, guys. Talk later.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Talk to
Thanks,
you later.
Albert. Take care.
Bye bye.
And Mole, just to continue that thought with you, what are your thoughts on where does your music come from?
Um, I'm kind of quite lucky. There's about 6 or 7 bands, musicians that I'm just obsessed with. So if I just put on one of their songs pretty much straight away, like I'll just be inspired to write something. And when I write, I'm literally just doodling on a guitar, or I have what they call a virtual instrument. So I plug in my keyboard to my laptop and then select, say, I don't know, like string ensemble or brass or chimes or something. And I'm doodling on the keyboard with that sound coming out. And then that's kind of it. That forms like a little melody. The same way as like when you hum something and you walk in, like something completely random, that just forms like a melodic idea. And from then, like you immediately know what key it's in, so you can work structurally with like using the chords and things from that key. And then I just kind of build and layer. And last thing, I would sort of start to write the vocal melody with just like phonetic sounds. And then the very, very, very last thing, I would write lyrics. Like for me, like just making a really good sounding song is the important thing. And then lyrics, I will give it its own time, but at the end.
Wow, wow, and of course everybody's gonna have their own unique process. I'm curious now that you've done this, right? You've done a long time. You're familiar with Premiere, and which is just a baby step away from Audition. I'm sure you've played around with Audition as well from Adobe a little bit. What are your thoughts on creating audio only NFTs or songs that are essentially NFTs? You see yourself doing that?
Very possibly. And I've only had my head in the music NFT space the past couple of months when I've been sort of researching and speaking about this project. But it is way, way, way far behind photography. And people say that photography is behind, but music is way, way, way behind. So it's possible. There are some platforms that have started, but you have to realize that the music in the space represents 0.00001% of all artists and bands, and there is no gatekeeping. So it's quite hard to like find songs and things you even like because it's decentralized. Anyone can do anything. Whereas that's the beauty of, say, a Spotify in the real world, is it pretty much knows your music taste after like 4 or 5 songs. So you get to just enjoy great music. So in that sense, the market's not really there, especially for my music taste. It's more about techno and hip hop make up about 80% of music sales. That's from 2021.
Hmm.
But the world of like the orchestral, the singer-songwriter, the kind of Radiohead experimental kind of sound is very, very limited. So possibly, but visuals are so important in the space that I think I'm always going to marry the two up somehow.
Yeah, I wonder, like, much like this, you're a long time project that's the, you know, uh, 1/100, each piece is 1/100th of the whole. I wonder if in the future, and I want to ask other musicians this as well, if there's a world where you can unlock versions of a particular song, right? So, if you're visualizing Mole, if you're visualizing, one of your latest songs on the timeline, right? Each track is something different in there. What do you envisage a future where, hey, if you purchase this version of the song, it comes with lyrics, and this version is a cappella, this version, and depending on the level of the smart contract, could turn on and activate different tracks and different, renditions or performances of a particular song?
Yeah, it's definitely a really interesting and amazing idea. And there's some people who are playing with what is basically generative music. So they'll record stems, they'll record each separate section and make sure it's all in the same key and BPM. And then it will just create different songs from that. So there's some interesting experimentation going on. There's a British company called Block Tunes who've done a really good project with generative music, and the songs actually just sound like really good songs. You would never know that they've been put together with a computer. So yeah, some stuff I would definitely want to explore. Like, I'm really interested in how people are doing things, not necessarily the music right now, but how they're incorporating technology, and exactly what you just said, like a really interesting idea there. And then I can, forgetting about the music genre, I can apply those kind of things to my stuff in the future.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I was looking at this YouTube video. I'll have to find it and share it with you. But there's this YouTube video that talks about AI based art creation. And there's this AI algorithm that this group has written that you can write a sentence into it. You could just basically describe a scene, either abstract or literal, and it will generate multiple versions of that sentence from what you said. And I wonder, and that scares the heck out of photographers and concept artists and all those people, because, it's scary. I wonder how that applies to music, and if you as a musician, do you feel like computers, we're in 2022, like who knows what 2032 holds, right? Do you feel like computers are getting to the point where you could say, yeah, create me some house music at this BPM, and I want a woman coming in at this time singing a cappella, and then just have it generate it and have it sound good. Do you think we're getting to a point where something like that's possible? And if so, do you care as a musician?
Firstly, I've seen that AI generative image generation, and
Hmm.
it is kind of scary how nice and good it looks, especially for landscape stuff. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And you can let it take longer, and it makes an even more detailed image if you give it more time. In terms of that in music, I'm pretty sure it is possible. I think Bjork was playing around with it at some point, like 5 years ago, and she like said, I'm not quoting exactly, but it's the computer doesn't have soul, but it's up to you as a musician to put soul into the computer. So I think it shouldn't be a case of like machines versus us. I think it's about us utilizing the technology as best as possible. So I'm not scared of it. I'm really excited if that happens, because then I could write a track and then I could have some generative part that I add on to it. And for me, like, I'm always going to be a songwriter, but I'm just adding new tools to that songwriting. Same with photography. Like, you can just add a tool to your camera to make new techniques and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting, and that is scary, and it's scary where things are going too, because well, it's scary and exciting. Scary might be the wrong word. It's exciting. The unknown is always scary, I guess, but it's exciting where things can go and the possibilities and the direction. Even with this piece, this a long time piece, just to see it and be inspired that, hey, maybe I can do something like that, but with, of course, my own stuff. No, no, Mo, you're in the light collection, right? And we pinned the post that kind of points to the piece that you've got in the light alpha collection. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what was the history of creating that piece?
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize you'd posted that. Yeah, so that was maybe like, I think they checked the metadata. It was about 3 months after I started shooting, and DAP, I think you've seen the raw file. It looks very different to that. So everything was just kind of on like a home setup with like £0 budget. So this premise is this girl was a singer, kind of like jazz-based singer. So I told her to bring this wig, and I wanted to make a real sort of, I can't remember what they're called. It'll come to me, the band name. But I wanted to make a real sort of 60s imagery, Black Panther-esque look to her.
Yeah.
And then I really wanted like the light reflections to almost just be like for her to look like really nude and just have these like really subtle jewelry elements to it. So it was very like graceful and powerful was like the meaning behind it, like because she is like quite a powerful singer and like freelance artist and all this. So that was like the premise of it. And I don't do much black and white photography, but this one like really lent itself. Like as soon as I converted it to black and white, like it just really pops and like I really loved the shot. So yeah, I was really happy with this one. I'm glad you chose it.
Yeah, yeah. Dapper team definitely, know what they're doing when they're picking this art. I'm curious, what was the from a light.art standpoint, this one obviously is amazing and is included. What was the driving force that pushed you to submit for the light collection or to be included?
I actually was on a space randomly, and Dap and Omar were on it talking about just photography. And the spaces where it's kind of like chilly and there's not really any artists in there and it's just a kind of cold, uncreative place. And then this was the opposite. This was one of the few at the beginning where we were just talking about photography and just art, and it just felt like such a warm, sort of creative place. And then Dap mentioned about light art, something or another. So I dropped him a message and like, it sounds really good. Like I really enjoy just you speaking about photography and like listening to your passion. I'd love to be involved somehow. So it was very, very random. Like it was just a very organic thing. So yeah, I applied and like really, really happy to be a part of the team.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work in there.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got in touch, man. I mean, it's isn't it amazing how the space works? Like you just kind of randomly jump in a conversation, and next thing you know, you're kind of working together with people. So it's great.
Yeah, Deb, we're getting a little bit of feedback from you there. Mole, as an artist, I have a list of things that I want to ask you, so I'm going to take advantage while I have a couple of minutes with you sitting on the hot seat. But as an artist, or now a multimedia artist, right? Photographer, music, etc. What are some other art forms that you feel like you want to experiment in? Obviously, photography called you, and long exposures and motion. Are there any other art forms that are kind of bugging you to give a try out?
Not really. I'd really love to just like be able to wake up and learn piano and just learn instruments much better, learn my camera much better. Video was something I was interested in, but it just seems so much harder than photography. I really like the concept of all the weight and the pressure being on this one image, whereas video just seems like there's too many variables. I kind of have a bit of a OCD/ADHD head where I get really overwhelmed when there's too many options. So I think with music, like I have time and space to really focus on adding layers and things like that. And with photography, I get to focus on the one image. So now I'm kind of content with pushing these boundaries a bit further. Like in my free time, I'm obsessed with fashion and menswear. So I spend a lot of time just playing with the visual of like clothes and doing a lot of research and like just looking at old catwalks and styling and things like that. And it has been for quite a while. So maybe that inspired the photography subconsciously when I took it up. But in terms of taking on new stuff, no, I'm kind of at my limit now, I think.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, I mean, 'cause there's so much to learn and so much to do. Yeah, and interesting how you balance that though, right? So the learning curve, because Premiere it's not an easy app to understand, right? I mean, maybe it is if you're coming from Ableton Live or Audition or Pro Tools or something. But if you're not and you're not accustomed to the whole metaphor of nonlinear editing, it can be intimidating. I'm curious, how did you approach it? Like you said, you just jumped into YouTube and watched a bunch of videos and said, "Yeah, I got it," and now I'm going to make this amazing art and put it out as an NFT. What was your process for learning that tool?
Pretty much that. Yeah, the thing with Adobe is the user interface is so bad, and it has been for so long. But because it's like Ethereum, because so many people use it, people just go along with it. Like even though there's way better options out there, and yeah, because I'd already got Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom, they speak to each other when you can edit things. So I was like, I may as well use this. But yeah, YouTube tutorials from the absolute basics of like how to open it up, how to set up your screen, how to import a video, like how to zoom into the timeline, like all that kind of stuff. So that was about a day and a half of just learning that, and then the actual adding the movement and masking and all that stuff. So it took probably about 2 3 days all in, and then I had 100 of them to do. So that took like
Mm,
5 days or so to get all
hmm.
that done. And if I'm being honest, if I opened it up now and I had to do another one, I would have no idea what I'm doing. Like it's very much the whole just in time thing that you said.
Yeah, yeah, JIT for the win, right? It's the power of YouTube. Like I don't I used it last night. I had a problem with my with the thermostat in the house, and I'm like, okay, I have no idea what to do. And I Googled it, watched a YouTube video, and now I have the knowledge and I know how to do it, right? So it's interesting that, how that applies to the stuff that creatives do, because you can, like you, Mole, you had this vision of this thing that you wanted to create, and boom, I have it in my head. Now I just have to figure out how to get from A to be. I want to, but before I ask this next question, I want to invite anybody who wants to come on stage and join in this conversation. Feel free, Omar, if you want to jump in. Feel free, raise your hand. We'll bring you up on stage. But Mole, continuing in that sort of vein of learning, I'm curious from a musician standpoint. I'm sure, obviously everyone has their own journey and their own path, but learning to be a musician, was it, like most kids, was it, oh, I just love this kind of music and I want to make it myself? Or was there some other path that you took to become a quote musician?
When I first started, it was just through guitar. And like I've realized now, I really love learning. And I never was consciously aware of that. But like the thought of like getting good at something like really like motivates me. So when I had the guitar, it was like probably 8 hours a day. I was still at high school. So yeah, about 7 8 hours a day after school I practiced. And then weekends would be like 10 or 12 hours a day. And I did that for 2 years. And then in terms of that, eventually it just progressed to actually songwriting. And I will say, interestingly, between the songwriting, I was learning Ableton, learning how to produce, how to like write compositions and virtual instruments and orchestration, because I originally just wanted to be a songwriter and have a singer to do all the stuff. And it took me 2 years to find the perfect singer. Like I wanted someone who sounded like Jeff Buckley. And through a lot of searching, I eventually found him. And then we had like a record contract offer from my favorite label, and I was really unhappy. And I basically like just had to fire him because he just turned out to be a bit crazy, is the nicest way of putting it. So
Mhm.
then I realized I had to teach myself to sing. And singing is not like playing a piano or a guitar where you hit a note and it's right or wrong. There's loads of mental struggles with singing, and the whole singing teacher industry is like, it's such a con, like just sing into your chamber and all this nonsense that doesn't mean anything. So for about 2 years, I moved into this pub in London where it had no neighbors. So I could like scream and shout and make weird noises at like 2 a.m. And for 2 years, like I learned how to sing. Like I treated my throat as a muscle, and basically strengthened it over and over and over. And then eventually I could do it. And that is the proudest thing I've ever done. Like that was so, so, so difficult. But it's got me to a point where I can actually express myself. So this concept of not being able to do something, trying to find someone to do it, and either not being able to afford them or them not working out from a personality point of view, forces me to then learn how to do something. And that seems to be a repeated thing in all my creative endeavors. But it's got me to this point, and like I'm really happy creatively where I am. And this project, like I'm just so proud and happy of with how it's turned out, like the music, the imagery, everything. So yeah, it's kind of been a long road in that sense.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, a long road, a long time, right? So I'm curious, how's the reception been so far for a long time?
It's been really good, but you've got to remember no one can hear the song yet. So at 7-ish, the initial collectors will be able to download it and hear it all. And then I can start to release more sort of teasers of like different sections. So just from the imagery alone, I think it's been really positive. But like I'm really excited for like the music reaction, I guess, because there's a trailer, like I've pinned that to the top. That's got a sample of the music, but that's 30 seconds. Like there's obviously a huge amount more. So yeah, it's been good. I'm 20% sold through on pre-mint, and then reveal will be at 7. So we'll see how it goes. I had to delay it because it was going to be released May the 19th, but it was just after Luna crashed. So crypto is not in a good place. So there was no perfect time. So yes, today is the day. So it's gone
Yeah.
as well as it can, I think.
Is there ever a perfect time for anything, right? See, sometimes you just gotta do it and figure it out at the end. Um, I'm also curious about the where this might go, right? So as a musician, I'm curious, Mo, do you do you do live performances, right? Or you perform live, or is it all recorded and distributed later?
Just recorded. I haven't played live in quite a while.
Now, do you see a possibility in the future where and this is just me, like, back of napkin, blue skying it, but wouldn't it be cool if dot dot dot? Wouldn't it be cool if, a piece like A Long Time, as part of the NFT purchase, it granted you access to the live performance, VIP or something like that, where, the NFT or owning the 1/100th of this gets you access to the 100 seats in the front row of a MOAL performance.
Yeah, well, it kind of does. That's basically what it does for what will be gallery screenings and things like that. In
Hmm.
terms of a live performance, I would need a huge amount of funding because it would need a full orchestra, like six guitar players or so. Like it's a lot of layering and like yeah, there's a lot of instrumentation. So that would be a pipe dream for me, like 100%. Like in a perfect world, if I had £1 million, I would love to make this a full show, Royal Albert Hall, front seat for every collector. That would be a dream. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, and a perfect blend and sort of the perfect punctuation to this piece. The end of it. It's really cool. Congratulations. I'm still staring at the piece. It's really cool. Um, this is a little bit off topic, photography slash NFTs. Obviously, this whole conversation kind of is, as we're talking about music, photography, NFTs, and creativity and all that. But on the music, putting on your musician hat, Mo, you were talking about singing, and I've tried that. I've tried singing, and it never sounds right, right? So I'm I'm wondering, is the art of singing, is it genetic? Is it a learned skill, or is it, everyone generally sucks in the beginning and you learn, over a span of time, and you rise to the level of your incompetence, and some folks' level of incompetence is higher than others? I don't know. What do you think? Can it be learned, to, the singing side of things?
Yeah, 100%. And because I've been through the process, I really know it can be. Like my voice at the beginning, it used to sounded like a prepubescent high school kid. Like it'd just be like, "Ah." So there was never any strength in the whole resonance. So going through the stages and treating it like a muscle was the trigger. And there was an app I downloaded called Voice Builder, and it was the best £5 I've ever spent. Like I did them exercises for months and months, and that was a real catalyst of when things started to turn around. The difference is some people have a more natural affinity, and I guess a better learned ear to hear pitch and things as they grow up. So when they start to sing, like they're just at a higher level than you. It's not a case of genetics and things like that, in my opinion. It's just a case they practice more as a kid, like subconsciously. Definitely it can be learned. And then the balance of that is then you also just listen to your favorite singers. Like the art of sitting down and listening to a song, Like just pull out, say, a verse and learn one line, like learn it perfectly. And if you can't hear it, slow that clip down on YouTube to like half speed and learn every note that happens. And during it, like have a virtual piano. You can find a website with one and find the notes on there and then sing them. Like it's very deconstructive, and it's like, well, that's going to take forever, but it just kind of does. Like when you're starting way lower than everyone else, you just have to work a lot harder just to get to a normal base level. But then it's like that J-shaped curve of learning. Once you get past that bit, it's much, much easier. But yeah, 100% it can be learned.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's encouraging because I've been thinking, yeah, I mean it's genetic. That's why these superstars get paid what they get paid because they have something that the rest of us don't have. This range and pitch and all that good stuff. It's encouraging to hear that it is learned because I'll tell you, when I'm singing in the shower and in the car or whatever, for me. And you tell me, Mo, is this common? It feels like until I start listening to myself, right? Until I start being cognizant of what sounds are coming out of my mouth, I'm okay. But when I start focusing on the actual sounds that I'm making, then it starts sounding horrible. I don't know if that's part of the process. I'm just not tuned for the sounds that I'm making, or what. Is that common? Do you see that where
No,
you
but hold on, Frederick. What we really want to know is how do we get the podcast voice? Were you
what
born with
podcast
that, or?
voice? Yeah, it's called, I don't know. It's called I don't know, gargle with Listerine or something. Uh, no,
But
yeah, I don't know.
that's the
Repetition.
point. Like Dap's point is good because you are a podcaster and you hear your voice a lot because you listen to it through recordings and stuff. And most people don't hear their voice. Like, when people hear a recording, like, oh my God, do I sound like that? You're already aware, like, of your auditory sounds.
Mhm.
And when I started to record and listen to my voice, like I became more aware. Yeah, that's all it is, really. It's just practice of awareness of the sounds. And then I guess pitch matching. So if you hit a note on a piano, like listen to it in your head, try and recreate it, and then sing it out loud. And it might be really far away at first, and then you just build that up. So it's just built skill. But it's interesting, yeah, that you said that because I would imagine you have a good self-awareness of your voice because of the podcasting stuff you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a good awareness of my speaking voice, but speaking is different, right? It's like rapping versus singing is completely different art forms. Most rappers, like I can't see back in the day, Ja Rule or somebody like that with that raspy sort of voice getting up there and doing a Mariah Carey song, right? It's genetic. It doesn't work.
Maybe we need to do a light hour rap edition next week, Frederick. That
I'm
could be a
in.
new installment.
I will kick it off. You hear that, Dap? I will kick it off with some old school. I don't know, some old school rap. We'll bring it in there, and we'll start it off.
I'll tune in. I'll tune in for sure.
No, that'd be cool. So Mo, we only got 10 minutes left in this, and there's so much to talk about. You're we've talked about your journey as a musician and how you kind of got started in the whole just-in-time learning stuff, and how you're just jumping into this NFT stuff, relatively speaking. You're less than a year into it and already creating work that you probably didn't even think you'd be creating this time last year. I'm curious, the learning process on the NFT side. We talked a little bit we talked about learning on the creativity and Premiere and music and singing and all that. But what about the NFT side, right? For the layman or for the outsider, the NFT space seems confusing, scary, dangerous, expensive, all these things from a creator and a collector standpoint. How did you get yourself to the point where you felt like, you know what, I can do this. It's not that scary. I'm going to dive in. And then to the point where you are now releasing 100-piece collections.
Yeah, that's really a good question because once you're in the space, you kind of forget about the torturous beginning bits. Like for me, it was so hard to just set up a MetaMask wallet. That took me 2 weeks to understand because I just thought I was going to lose my money. Like at every stage, I was going to get scammed. So
Hmm.
again, that was YouTube tutorials and things. But that's when it would be amazing if you just had a friend, someone to message and things like that. And after about three or 4 weeks into it, my girlfriend mentioned, oh, she knows someone in NFTs, and he became like my sounding board to be like, right, I want to do this. Can you navigate me to like what I should be doing? And he would be like, oh, yeah, just read this. Just set me on the right path. And then again, it was just a lot of self-studying. So it was hard. Like it was really hard. And to be honest, up until this project, I didn't really feel like I fully knew what was going on. Like I would turn up on Twitter and you write, try and find great artists and support them just by basic stuff, liking, retweeting. And I was like, what? I didn't know what I was meant to be doing. Like, there's no roadmap for any of this. So
Hmm.
until I actually did this project and did a full collection with a pre-mint, with a sort of marketing idea behind it and all this kind of stuff, I probably didn't really know what I was doing. And ultimately, it's about finding a community of people who you can share that feeling with of, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm interested. And then they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm interested. And you kind of learn and bounce ideas together. That is what would be really, really helpful at the beginning. But yeah, again, it's just trial and error for me. That's how I got through it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what you're describing is the community aspect, which I keep hearing over and over again. The more people I talk to in the space, the more I hear that. I hear basically a couple of things repeated, and it's I just jumped in and I figured it out, and when I did get in, the community was nurturing and helped me along the way, and now I'm doing amazing stuff. Right? So I keep hearing those and the emphasis on the importance of the community in this space. And it sounds like you're saying the same thing, right? You get yourself to a certain point, and then from that point, the community assists and gets you the rest of the way. Is that how that went for you?
Yeah, pretty much. And you start to realize that people's DMs are open. Like if you have questions, they're more than happy to help you. And same with me, like I've onboarded a few people since because I don't want them to go through that torturous procedure of doing it because I know that they just wouldn't make it to the end and be like, I'll forget this. It's not worth the hassle. And again, like spaces as well, like this is an amazing opportunity to just jump in a space and ask questions about really basic stuff that I'm sure most people will understand after being in the space for a few months, but 100% community. Like everyone's been really warm and welcoming in that sense.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm seeing that too. And I approach all of this from a I use my superpower, which is, being able to hopefully hold a conversation and chat like this. And where my enthusiasm for this stuff comes from is genuine curiosity, right? I'm genuinely curious about how, like, for example, a long time, you're a long time piece. Like, how did you put that together? Why did you put it together? What was the process? What software did you use? What camera did you shoot this thing with? And the same with NFTs. What's the motivation? Everyone's motivation is different behind the stuff that they create, right? What was your motivation? How's it going? Is it being received as well as you thought it would be received? All those things. And we're all new, right? It's all brand new. This time next year, you may have another piece out that's iterative of this one, and it'll be completely different, and maybe there'll be an album that comes out of all these songs that you created that are like this, and now they're selling in the real world with an NFT component. I don't know. Do you see that happening, Mo? Like, this sort of this NFT space kind of pushing the world of your music forward in that way, and then maybe we'll have a collection of collections, which essentially is an album in the future.
Very possibly. Like I'm really open to like how the world of NFT music opens up for me in the next 3 months or so. Like I'm intrigued about what ideas people are doing and like, how I can learn from that. But onto that point, like I'm similar to what you just said. Like I'm obsessed with all the light artists in here. Like I'm excited to see the whole collection, and because I don't really know that much about photography, I have 100 questions for people to. Oh, how did you do that? That's incredible. How did you mix that with that? And I already know like a lot of the photographers' work because I've followed them, like not personally. So I'm excited to see how that all comes together and the big reveal for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be intimidating too, right? Because you look at some of the work in there, like Elia Locardi, for example, world-class travel landscape photographer who's involved with this light project as well. And you see that work, and it's like, wow, I want to be able to do that. And then just to know that you could maybe send a question to him, and get an answer about how to do this particular thing that you're doing because you're in that light collective is, I think that's priceless to have that, especially at a level where, you're an accomplished artist in a different genre, and then you move over to this genre, i.e. photography, and you're trying to kind of meld the worlds together, asking experts in this space is invaluable. In the old days, quote, this was 100% not possible, right? To have that kind of collaborative experience. You know, it's all very interesting. Mo, what's next for you, man? So what's next for you this week, this month, this year? What can we look forward from Mole NFT?
Sleeping this weekend is my top priority. After that, getting this project into some gallery spaces in London is my priority. I'm going to send a proposal to create a music NFT gallery space in August. So I've just got to put that together. I've got a photography project that I want to do on men's mental health. And the beauty about all projects I do from now on is they're going to be so easy compared to this, because this was 3 months in the making. If I just did a photography project, like it would take me like a week or so to get together. So yeah, and then I'm doing a PFP photography project that I've got an idea for. So that'll probably be about September. And then between that, I'd love to do some collaborative work, like just as a musician with some visual artists. So yeah, we'll see how it pans out.
You're gonna be busy. Sounds like you're busy. Nabil is got his hand up. Nabil, you want to add something to the conversation?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having
Good.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just recently joined your Discord. I've been really liking what I've been seeing, and this is the first kind of light art space that I saw pop up. So I really wanted just to say hi to you all, and join in really. I didn't really hear too much about what was being talked about before Mole was speaking, but yeah, I'm happy to chime in and comment on whatever the topic is.
Yeah. So we're generally just talking about this conversation kind of meandered into the direction of um, music and art, right? And Mole is an artist or he's a musician that decided he wanted to release this photography NFT project and bring his music into it. So we were just sort of talking from a high level about how all that went and the process of learning to do that and NFTs and Premiere and all that stuff. What kind of photographer are you, Nabil?
Yeah, I'm a documentary photographer. I'm also a doctor, and I do a lot of work in the developing world, the Middle East. I work in intensive care and pre-hospital medicine, which means kind of working in the back of helicopters and things, picking up kind of trauma victims. So my documentary photography work kind of goes hand in hand with that. But just coming back on what you're saying about music and art, it's something I think about a lot. I'm a massive music nerd, you know. Um, I am always, playing a vinyl and dissecting the music. It goes so hand in hand with everything I do. And when you mix music and photography, it's a beautiful blend, you know. When I think about how I use my camera, I'm a film photographer, but the film is like the undertone upon which everything rests. It's the beat in the music, and the
Yeah.
people in photographs are like the notes. It's fantastic to think about images and sounds and how they can merge.
Yeah. That's you know basically messing with two of our senses at the same time, music, sight and sound, right? And putting it together. And I think what part of what this whole NFT space brings to it is I don't know, for lack of a better word, programmability, I guess, with the smart contracts and being able to release things kind of like what Mole did with is a long time project. which is pinned in here. No, actually, just go to MOAL NFT on Twitter. You'll find it and link over to it. But things like that and merging the two worlds are what I find are really, really interesting. Yeah, there's a ton of really amazing still photography. We're starting to see, of course, a lot of motion in the NFT art world, but adding motion and sound, to stunning imagery is original music on top of that is kind of incredible. So Mole, congratulations on that, man. Yeah, that's really exciting.
Thank you so much, mate. I have to dash because the assets are being revealed at 7, so I just need to sort all that admin stuff out. But it's been really great chatting to you. You're an amazing host, Frederick, so much love, and I look forward to doing the podcast with you at some point.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll talk offline. Cool. Yeah,
Take
head on
care.
to do that. Thanks, Mole.
Congrats, man.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. This has been great. I love talking about this stuff, obviously, because it's so exciting, and we're dancing on the bleeding edge with everything. And Mole is right up there, right? It's inspiring to speak to someone that is relatively new to this space. Brand new to the NFT space, but also brand new to photography and super brand new to editing video, and is still able to generate an amazing collection, and we'll see how it does, right? But just putting it together is just amazing. So we'll leave it right there. Thanks everyone for coming to this light hour. Once again, we'll be doing these twice a week. One at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, US Pacific, and the other one today on Thursdays at 10 a.m. US Pacific. So just look for it in your timeline. Make sure you're following Light Artists, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.